You might wanna buckle up, baby.
Punch it, I'm Jacob and welcome to Lightspeed. One of the best things about Star Wars as a franchise is that it's generational both narratively and realistically, with a lot of people holding onto and defending the Star Wars that they personally grew up watching and playing with the most. Older fans are nostalgic for the original trilogy, people my age are nostalgic for the prequel trilogy, and a lot of younger fans will ultimately become nostalgic for the sequel trilogy, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and so much more. It's the franchise's greatest strength, and unfortunately, probably one of its greatest weaknesses too, considering that some people go a little bit too far in defending the specific aspects of the franchise that they cherish the most. Most of those people are crazy, but for what it's worth, how are you supposed to top this?
It's broken. Can you understand what he's saying?
I'm not a protocol droid.
I'm pretty sure that beep is down.
I sense Count Dooku is above us.
Oh, yes, you're right. Beep is up. I think.
But I'm not here to talk about that today. I recently found myself replaying the Revenge of the Sith tie-in game from 2005 for the PlayStation 2. A certified classic, if I say so myself, but we'll get back to that later. But aside from realizing that this game still held up tremendously, it also made me realize that growing up with the Revenge of the Sith was kind of awesome. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of hype for the prequel trilogy overall, as they're without a doubt some of the biggest and most popular films to come out of the late 90s and mid 2000s. But there was something so specific about Episode 3's marketing, toys, games, and more that kind of just made it feel like an event. And I want to talk about why. Partially because I'm super nostalgic for this movie and the time around it, and also because I, much like many others, just kind of really love Revenge of the Sith. At the time, George Lucas didn't plan on selling Lucasfilm or making any other movies, so Revenge of the Sith was marketed not only as the defining chapter of the prequel trilogy, but also the end of the saga. And they went all out.
Why isn't this thing lighting?
Star Wars is at BK.
What'd I tell you about the blasting?
Get a watch for $1.99 with any value meal. Own the DVD now.
What time is it? It's Star Wars time. From some of the hardest movie posters that I've ever seen for any movie, and some that are questionable in hindsight, Revenge of the Sith was an unescapable celebration of the saga coming to a close for the time being. And it was everywhere.
You have won $1 million.
Brendan, I am your father.
No, you're not. You just want my money.
Brendan, I am your uncle. Brendan, wait.
Play Choose Your Destiny at BK. Every game piece can win. Star Wars Episode 3 is at theaters May 19th.
You couldn't even get a meal from Burger King without seeing Darth Vader on the bag and a Star Wars toy on the inside. Which honestly, I had so many of these growing up, and I still have Yoda and Grievous somewhere in storage. Funnily enough, I actually found a Darth Vader toy from Burger King sealed in the package a couple months ago while thrifting, and before anyone gets mad at me for opening this bad boy up, you would have done the same thing. Gotta get a whiff of that 2005 pre-COVID air. Plus he was worth like $5 online, so there's also that. He's actually pretty cool though. Like if you open him up, there's actually an Anakin Skywalker figure on the inside, so spoilers, I guess. But it wasn't just Burger King that got hit with the Revenge of the Sith marketing, as toy stores everywhere were flooded with more new toys for Episode 3 than they probably knew what to do with. Also, quick side note, I love how all of the toys for this specific movie have Darth Vader's helmet with flames surrounding it. It honestly just kind of looks awesome, and subtly lets you know that this movie was going to be a lot more intense than any of the previous Star Wars movies. It was the first PG-13 Star Wars movie, so no younglings allowed. Entire sections in toy stores were decked out in this marketing, which is pretty sad to think about when you compare it to Star Wars toy aisles today. But these toys were so cool. Almost every single figure in this wave had an action feature, whether it was a button on the back of Anakin Skywalker to slash his lightsaber lightsaber, or pushing down Grievous's head to make him move all 4 arms at once. It is kind of funny though, as some characters with no gimmick also had to have something flashy written on the packaging, with characters like Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and Mas Amedda having Republic Senator written right on the front of their plastic case. Like, can you even imagine a kid wanting to buy a certain action figure because his gimmick was Senator? I want that guy because he's a politician. But all jokes aside, these figures were honestly pretty cool, and were sometimes even included in playsets like this Mustafar Volcano one, which was honestly one of my favorites growing up. But with any new Star Wars movie also comes new toy lightsabers.
Star Wars. You can battle for the galaxy with new Episode 3 lightsabers. You can choose Obi-Wan's lightsaber with Force vibration. Train with Jedi Master Yoda.
What will you have?
And choose your destiny like Anakin Skywalker.
He chose the dark side. Where to find it too.
And I actually still have my Anakin Skywalker Darth Vader lightsaber from whenever I was a kid. And what's really cool is that whenever you push this button, it would change from blue to red, so you could pick if you wanted to play as Anakin or Darth Vader. It's also funny because like this totally worked before I started recording this video, and now it's not working. So like, you win some, you lose some, I guess. But other characters like Mace Windu, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Count Dooku, Darth Vader, and more had lightsabers to purchase as well. Surprisingly, General Grievous didn't have any tie-in lightsabers specifically for him, but they did make his blaster into a toy, so I'm gonna take that as a win. Also, I don't know if anybody else had that lightsaber training game where there was a sensor that looked like a combat remote from A New Hope and a lightsaber remote. It was a motion sensing game that predates the Wii and ultimately didn't really work all that well, or at least it didn't really work for me, but it looked cool, so who really cares? But we can't talk about lightsaber toys without mentioning a game changer, the Ultimate Lightsaber Building Kit, which allowed kids to use different plastic parts in the set to make their own lightsaber toy with different colored blades. There were so many amazing combinations that you could do with this set, and it's easily one of the coolest Star Wars toys to come out during the prequel trilogy's original run. Anyone who has seen Revenge of the Sith knows just how iconic it really is, so I feel like part of the reason as to what made this movie so special was that everything that was in it either made it into a toy in one way or another, or wound up somehow into the marketing. They also made a Super Soaker that looked like the blasters that the Wookiees use on Kashyyyk, so that's really cool as well. But I've saved the best toy for last. The Darth Vader voice changer. It was literally just a plastic mold of Darth Vader's helmet that acted as a voice changer to make you sound more like Darth Vader. Or close enough. From what I remember, it kind of sounded more like Kylo Ren's muffled voice. I honestly wish that I had one to show with you all, but unfortunately, inflation has kind of caused its value to go up tremendously. I know that I mentioned it earlier, but the tie-in game for Revenge of the Sith from LucasArts was also incredible. It has really great mechanics for lightsaber combat and using the Force, and the duels and level design are honestly both fantastic as well. Each level is really unique and perfectly captures the aesthetic and plot for the movie itself. Also, there's a bonus level where you play as Anakin dueling Obi-Wan on Mustafar, and if you win, this happens.
You underestimate the power of the dark side.
Don't try it!
Excellent work, my apprentice. There are none left to oppose us. The galaxy is ours now. Your new weapon, Darth Vader.
No, the galaxy belongs to me.
The Game Boy and DS versions of the game were also really fun and had more of an animated, cartoony style. There was also the holy grail of Star Wars video games, 2005's Battlefront 2, but that's honestly another video for another time. I don't need to be the one to tell you how great that game is. quite honestly you probably already know. And of course, there was the original LEGO Star Wars video game, which has kind of become one of the most iconic family-based games from the mid-2000s. Funnily enough, it was also released before Revenge of the Sith came out theatrically, so if you wanted to know the plot of the movie early, all you had to do was play through that episode's levels and try to piece together the story. No pun intended. And for what it's worth, the final level in LEGO Star Wars 4 Revenge of the Sith tested so many friendships back in the day whenever you had to fight each other until whomever was Obi-Wan eventually won. Also, this is totally switching gears and kind of random, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. If you typed 1138 and pressed enter on your remote while on the movie's DVD home screen, this happened.
That almighty amazing, highly contagious, kamikaze sound splash like a shot from a gauge until your body sounds black. The class.
I remember everyone thinking this was so cool, and it kind of became a viral video once it started circulating online.
You never listen to them. It's like,
I know this is kind of just me rambling on about how awesome it was to grow up with this movie in particular, but why did I make this video? Quite honestly, I was feeling very nostalgic. As someone who grew up with the prequels, these movies will always have a special place in my heart and a lot of memories that I'll forever cherish. These movies, especially Revenge of the Sith, were a massive part of my childhood, and I'll forever relate this amazing movie with some of the best marketing I've ever seen in my entire life. The only time that I feel like we've ever gotten somewhat close to matching this level of hype was probably when The Force Awakens was released back in 2015. Revenge of the Sith might be one of the saddest Star Wars movies, but quite honestly, the marketing was where the fun begins. I may or may not have been waiting this entire video to say that. But what about you? Did you grow up with Revenge of the Sith? Are you a fan of the movie? Are you not a fan? What's your favorite Star Wars movie? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, if you enjoy talking about Star Wars, I have a link to my Discord server down below as well. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until the next video, may the Force be with you.